Most people believe life changes gradually, that one day, somehow, things will simply improve. But the truth is far more uncomfortable. Life does not shift in silence. It waits, it watches, and then it confronts you with a moment so clear, so sharp, that you either step forward or remain exactly where you are. This moment does not announce itself with fireworks. It arrives quietly, disguised as restlessness, as dissatisfaction, as the strange feeling that your current life no longer fits the person you are becoming. You feel it late at night. You feel it when the noise fades and your thoughts grow louder. Something inside you knows that the way you have been living is not the way you were meant to live, not because you failed, but because you settled. You adapted. You learned how to endure instead of how to command. And endurance, while admirable, was never the final destination. There comes a point when survival becomes a prison, when routine becomes a cage, and comfort becomes the enemy of growth. This is that point, right now. Because transformation does not begin when conditions improve. It begins when your tolerance for your own excuses collapses. The division between who you are and who you were meant to be is not years away. It is a decision away. And that decision is never comfortable. It requires you to admit that waiting has cost you time, that hesitation has cost you opportunities, and that fear has been running the schedule of your life. But here is the truth most people avoid. Nothing changes until you do. And the moment you truly accept that, you stop asking for motivation and start demanding direction from yourself. Before continuing, write in the comments which side you're watching this video from and subscribe to the channel now. This simple decision could mark the beginning of your turning point. You were not designed to drift through your days reacting to problems, pressures, and opinions. You were designed to direct, yet somewhere along the way, you allowed circumstances to replace choice. You allowed repetition to replace intention. Not because you were weak, but because no one ever taught you the cost of delay. Inside you exists a will that has never disappeared, only been ignored. A force that grows restless when unused. That force does not respond to comfort. It responds to command. And command begins the moment you stop negotiating with the version of yourself that wants to remain safe. You do not need more information. You do not need permission. You need alignment. Alignment between what you know, what you choose, and what you act upon daily. A decision is not an emotion. It is not inspiration that fades by morning. A real decision is a line drawn so firmly that retreat becomes impossible. It is a silent agreement with your future that you will no longer betray it for temporary relief. When you decide, your behavior reorganizes, your focus sharpens, your standards rise. And the world responds, not because it is kind, but because clarity creates momentum. This is the law that governs progress. Life moves toward the individual who moves toward life with certainty. Imagine yourself 1 year from now, having honored this moment. Your days are no longer heavy with avoidance. Your work reflects purpose instead of pressure. Your mind is quieter because it is no longer divided. Nothing around you became easier, but you became stronger, more precise, more disciplined. That future does not arrive by chance. It is built from moments like this one, where awareness turns into action. And once that shift happens, there is no returning to the life you merely tolerated. You were never created to live at the edge of your own potential, negotiating daily with fear, comfort, and delay. Deep within you exists an awareness that your life is meant to expand, to press forward, to claim ground that you have only admired from a distance. You have felt it before, in moments when hesitation fell silent and courage spoke clearly. Yet the world is skilled at dulling that voice, at convincing you to wait, to prepare longer, to remain reasonable. Today is different. This moment is not asking for your patience, it is demanding your presence. When you give yourself fully to a decisive moment, something ancient awakens inside you. Your mind stops drifting between possibilities and begins to align around purpose. This alignment is not emotional excitement. It is structural change. It is the shift from wondering what might be possible to declaring what will be done. When that shift happens, weakness loses its negotiating power. Fear no longer debates, it retreats. The future, which once seemed distant and abstract, steps closer as if listening. You are not here to consume words passively. You are here to receive a signal that interrupts the pattern you have been repeating. These minutes are not entertainment. They are an interruption of drift, a stand against the slow erosion of ambition disguised as safety. Drift is subtle, which is why it defeats so many. It does not announce itself as failure. It introduces itself as comfort, as patience, as being realistic. Drift convinces capable minds to delay action while waiting for certainty that never arrives. But clarity is not the prerequisite of action. Action is the generator of clarity. When you drift, your energy leaks in all directions, divided between desire and fear, hope and doubt. A divided mind cannot command results because it does not speak with one voice. Decision is the act of unification. It seals the leaks. It gathers thought, emotion, and will into a single directive force. Once unified, your inner world stops arguing with itself, and that internal order begins to reflect outwardly. Indecision keeps life in a holding pattern, waiting for instructions that never come. Decision speaks plainly. It does not ask permission from circumstances or reassurance from outcomes. Yet it issues a command and accepts responsibility for the consequences. This is where power begins, not in knowing everything, but in choosing despite not knowing. The moment you decide without retreat, you step out of reaction and into authorship. You stop being shaped by time and start shaping it. Every meaningful transformation begins with a line that cannot be uncrossed. Most people approach that line repeatedly, but never step over it. They think about it, talk around it, study it, but they keep one foot anchored in retreat. True decision leaves no hidden exit. It is not a preference. It is a law you declare to yourself. When you decide fully, your behavior reorganizes automatically. You no longer need constant motivation, because motivation is a substitute for commitment. Commitment sustains itself. A decisive mind does not waste energy revisiting choices it has already made. It moves forward, learning through movement rather than waiting for perfect understanding. Hesitation taxes the spirit. It drains momentum before momentum can form. The longer a decision remains unmade, the heavier it becomes, until action feels impossible. But the instant a decision is made cleanly, the weight shifts. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable, even simple. This is not because the path is suddenly easy, but because resistance loses its grip when certainty enters the room. When you decide, you become whole. When you hesitate, you fracture yourself. Wholeness is strength. The world responds differently to a mind that speaks with authority. Circumstances rearrange around clarity and expose confusion. Opportunities recognize decisiveness the way nature recognizes light. This is not mysticism, it is alignment. When your inner command is clear, your actions carry coherence, and coherence creates trust within yourself and in others. History repeatedly shows that men and women who altered their destiny did not begin with advantage, approval, or resources. They began with a decision that refused to bend. They declared an outcome before they had evidence, and then they organized their lives around that declaration. Their environment tested them, delayed them, even mocked them, but it could not erase the original command. Over time, persistence shaped perception, and perception opened doors that once seemed sealed. Decision does not guarantee speed, but it guarantees direction. And direction, held long enough, becomes momentum. Momentum, sustained, becomes inevitability. The decisive individual does not wait for life to become favorable. They become unignorable. Decision is not merely mental, it is existential. It is the closest human imitation of creation itself. To decide is to say, "Let this be," and then to live in alignment with that statement. When your command is consistent, life moves. When your command wavers, life pauses. Doubt does not cancel power. It fragments it. A single instruction spoken with conviction travels further than endless analysis whispered with uncertainty. Consistency gives weight to intention. Each time you honor your decision through action, you reinforce the signal you are sending to the world and to yourself. Over time, That signal becomes identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who hopes and start knowing yourself as someone who decides. This identity shift is irreversible once fully formed. You no longer negotiate with fear because fear no longer defines the boundaries of your choices. You act from principle, not impulse. From command, not convenience. This is how ordinary circumstances give birth to extraordinary outcomes, through sustained decisiveness. Understand this clearly. Your future is not watching your wishes, it is watching your decisions. Every day you are teaching life how to treat you by what you tolerate and what you command. There is a moment, often quiet, unnoticed by others, when a person stops asking and starts declaring. That moment divides who they were from who they become. It is not dramatic on the surface, but it is absolute beneath it. From that point forward, actions align, excuses lose credibility, and progress becomes unavoidable. Let this be such a moment, not because words have power on their own, but because you are choosing to receive them with authority. Do not drift from this point. Do not dilute it with delay. Decide and then move. Decide and then persist. Decide and then allow your actions to confirm what your mind has commanded. Life responds to clarity. Destiny obeys decision. And once you decide without retreat, the path you feared will begin to clear beneath your feet. When a person reaches the moment of true resolve, something subtle yet undeniable begins to happen around him. Circumstances that once appeared chaotic start to line up with surprising order, as if responding to an unseen command. People who were indifferent become attentive. Opportunities that seemed distant move closer, and obstacles reveal hidden openings. This is not coincidence, but consequence. Life responds to clarity. The one who drifts remains surrounded by endless possibilities, paralyzed by the illusion that more information will someday deliver certainty. Yet certainty is not the reward of waiting. It is the result of choosing. Those who postpone decision in the hope of perfect understanding remain suspended in half-light, neither advancing nor retreating, living in a permanent almost. In contrast, the person of purpose understands that light appears only after the step is taken. He moves forward not because everything is clear, but because his direction is. In motion, understanding grows. In stillness, doubt multiplies. The world does not yield to those who ask timidly. It responds to those who declare firmly. The law governing progress is uncompromising. It rewards definiteness and penalizes hesitation. History is filled with quiet tragedies of those who stopped just short of success, not because they lacked ability, but because they surrendered to doubt too early. Perseverance is not merely effort, it is decision sustained over time. The earth itself seems to honor those who refuse to retreat, yielding its treasures only to those who continue digging when logic suggests stopping. Thought that is not followed by movement deteriorates into fantasy. Great achievements are born not from perfect plans, but from decisive action taken before all details are known. Those who changed their circumstances acted while others debated. They allowed action to educate them. Decision demands motion, even if the first step feels insignificant. Once movement begins, conviction strengthens, and with conviction comes momentum. Momentum attracts assistance, resources, and insight that could never be accessed from a place of waiting. Action has a clarifying power that hesitation can never provide. As soon as a person commits fully, his presence changes, his posture straightens, his gaze steadies, his words carry weight. Others sense this shift instinctively. Confidence is not announced, it is felt. Employers trust it, allies rally around it, and even rivals respect it. Decision carries a distinct presence that cannot be faked. It is the foundation of leadership, which at its core is simply responsibility accepted without excuse. Most people hesitate to lead because they fear the burden of choice. But the moment someone embraces responsibility, others willingly transfer their uncertainty to him. Certainty is rare, and rarity creates value. Each definite choice strengthens character, refining judgment, and reducing inner conflict. Over time, decision becomes habit, and habit becomes identity. The person who learns to decide efficiently gains time, energy, and authority, while others exhaust themselves circling the same unresolved questions. Decision also reshapes the relationship with fear. Fear cannot coexist with firm resolve. It must either withdraw or transform. When a person decides, fear loses its power to paralyze and instead becomes a signal, an alertness that sharpens focus and encourages preparation. Excessive caution often disguises itself as wisdom, but it is usually fear seeking justification. The decisive individual listens to fear without obeying it. He allows setbacks to instruct rather than discourage him. Failure becomes feedback, not a verdict. Each obstacle is interpreted as guidance, adjusting direction without weakening commitment. Decision gives meaning to every event, converting resistance into refinement. Even temporary defeat serves progress when filtered through resolve. The person who knows his aim cannot be permanently stopped because nothing he encounters is wasted. Everything is absorbed, analyzed, and repurposed in service of his direction. The power of decision deepens when it is made tangible. Writing a clear aim transforms intention into commitment. Words placed on paper become a contract with oneself, a declaration of identity rather than a wish. Repeated affirmation impresses this identity upon the subconscious, aligning thoughts, habits, and perceptions with the chosen direction. Over time, the individual stops seeing himself as someone who hopes and begins to recognize himself as someone who commands his own course. Great movements, enterprises, and transformations all begin the same way. A single mind speaks with unwavering clarity and refuses to withdraw its word. That clarity gathers strength, followers, and resources until momentum becomes unstoppable. Decision is not primarily about what one plans to do, but about who one decides to be. Once identity is declared, action follows naturally. Behavior aligns, persistence becomes instinctive, and progress becomes inevitable. Decide fully, act promptly, persist relentlessly. Life yields to those who know where they stand. Destiny is not a mystery reserved for the fortunate. It is a consequence reserved for the decisive. The man who chooses to lead does so long before recognition arrives, often while walking alone through uncertainty and doubt. Leadership is not granted by lighted paths but forged in darkness, when conviction must replace clarity. Life does not respond to hesitation, nor does it reward those who wait for perfect conditions. The world bends toward individuals who speak with certainty, move with resolve, and refuse to retreat when resistance appears. Decision is the axis upon which all power turns. Once a man truly decides, events reorganize themselves around that choice. Circumstances that once blocked his progress begin to test his seriousness instead. Destiny obeys direction, not desire. A decision, once made, is not a conclusion, but a beginning, a spark that ignites potential into motion. Yet fire alone does not sustain itself. Will is the fuel that keeps the flame alive long after excitement fades. Many awaken briefly to their potential, only to abandon it when effort replaces enthusiasm. Desire may awaken the dreamer, but persistence alone crowns the builder. The tragedy of most lives is not a lack of vision, but a failure to continue. Men mistakenly believe that deciding once is enough, unaware that every decision must be fed daily through discipline. Obedience to one's own word, repeated until action becomes instinct, is what separates fleeting intention from lasting power. Most men begin their journey with intensity and end it with excuses. They speak boldly when emotion is high, but retreat quietly when routine returns. Will is not measured by how loudly a man declares his intention, but by how faithfully he honors it when no one is watching. The furnace of persistence transforms fragile intention into unbreakable resolve. Without that furnace, even the most brilliant plans cool into ash. Will is not an emotion, because emotion rises and falls like sparks in the wind. Will endures like the sun, constant, disciplined, unmoved by temporary conditions. Emotion serves circumstance, will commands it. Those who rely on inspiration collapse when comfort disappears. The man of will acts from principle rather than preference. His strength is not revealed in moments of ease but formed in hours of resistance. Comfort, though appealing, is the enemy of greatness. The mind becomes strong only through resistance, just as muscle grows through tension. The individual who avoids difficulty remains fragile. The one who embraces discipline becomes formidable. Will grows through countless small acts of obedience to purpose, choosing effort over ease, commitment over convenience, direction over distraction. Each such act builds invisible strength, fiber by fiber, until resilience becomes second nature. History offers countless examples of this truth. Progress has never been achieved by those who bowed to impossibility. There was once a man who envisioned a future others could not yet see. A future where innovation served the many rather than the few. When experts declared his vision unattainable, he did not argue theory, he issued command. Failure returned repeatedly, yet his response remained unchanged. Persistence, not brilliance, carried the idea forward until resistance finally surrendered. Obstacles exist not to prevent progress, but to measure endurance. Every ambition is questioned by difficulty, and the universe poses the same challenge to all who aspire. Will you remain when persistence becomes uncomfortable? Most retreat at this crossroads, mistaking resistance for rejection. Yet law yields only to those who endure beyond the point where others quit. Mastery belongs not to the most talented, but to the most consistent. The individual who persists long enough bends circumstance into cooperation. Such men are remembered not because they avoided failure, but because they outlasted it. Will is strengthened through controlled attention. Whatever dominates the mind expands, gaining power through focus. The undisciplined mind fixates on obstacles, magnifying them until progress appears impossible. The disciplined mind directs thought deliberately toward purpose, reducing difficulties to their proper size. Attention is energy. Thought scattered across many spheres produces no force, but concentrated thought ignites transformation. Like sunlight gathered through a lens, focus intensifies power until resistance yields. Faith, when concentrated upon a single aim, burns through doubt and limitation. Repetition, often misunderstood as monotony, is in truth the process of creation. Every master refines skill through repeated action, aligned with intention. Habit is not accidental, it is cultivated. Daily acts, performed consistently in harmony with purpose, engrave certainty into the subconscious. Eventually, right action occurs without struggle because it has become nature. The laws governing habit do not discriminate. Repeated fear creates weakness. Repeated courage creates strength. Nature rewards consistency without judgment. Whatever is practiced becomes permanent. There are men who act as though success already belongs to them, not from arrogance but from inner certainty. They do not wait for recognition to validate effort. They work faithfully when unseen, improve systems without praise, and carry responsibility before authority is granted. When opportunity finally arrives, it merely confirms what they have already become. Success does not transform these men, it reveals them. This is faith in action, not belief without proof, but belief that generates proof through behavior. Faith energizes the subconscious, mobilizing every faculty toward achievement. Expectation precedes evidence. The individual who anticipates rejection unconsciously invites it, while the one who expects favor radiates confidence that attracts cooperation. Life responds not to wishes, but to identity. The world agrees with the man who moves as though his purpose is inevitable. Such confidence is not borrowed from circumstance. It is built through disciplined will, focused thought, persistent action, and unwavering obedience to one's own decisions. Destiny follows those who decide and stay decided. There comes a moment in a person's life when the external struggle is revealed to be only a reflection of an internal posture. Two individuals may face the same environment, possess the same skills, and work within the same constraints, yet their outcomes differ radically. The difference is not technique, but belief made active. When a person changes the image he holds of himself and of those he encounters, his results begin to shift almost imperceptibly at first. Fear once whispered expectations of rejection, Faith replaces those whispers with quiet certainty. Nothing on the surface appears altered, yet the inner signal being transmitted is entirely different. Confidence alters tone, posture, timing, and persistence in ways that cannot be consciously imitated. Over time, responses from the world begin to change, not because others were persuaded, but because the individual himself became aligned. Faith is not optimism detached from effort. It is a steady conviction that effort is worthwhile even before proof appears. Hardship then becomes a proving ground rather than a punishment. Difficulty reveals whether desire is ornamental or authentic. Shallow intention collapses under pressure, while deep purpose grows denser, stronger, and more refined. Each challenge met without surrender forges resilience, and resilience quietly reshapes destiny. History consistently shows that those who ultimately carry great responsibility are first shaped by prolonged adversity. Repeated disappointment tempers emotion, disappointment disciplines ego, and loss teaches perspective. Character capable of bearing weight is not formed in ease. Trials do not create greatness, but they reveal whether greatness can be sustained. Endurance builds a reputation long before success becomes visible. People instinctively trust the one who persists, who completes what he begins, who remains steady when novelty fades. Reliability, more than brilliance, becomes the currency of influence. Talent may attract attention, but dependability earns confidence, and confidence opens doors that talent alone cannot unlock. Over time, opportunities drift naturally toward those whose conduct is consistent. When discipline becomes habitual, life feels less heavy, not more constrained. Responsibility transforms from burden into privilege, because each fulfilled obligation strengthens belief in one's own word. A person who honors commitments to himself develops inner alignment. One who repeatedly breaks them breeds silent self-distrust that corrodes motivation. Daily affirmation, when paired with action, reinforces identity. When belief and behavior move together, doubt loses its foothold. Much of the most important work in life occurs without witnesses. Progress often accumulates invisibly, shielded by time and silence. The laws governing growth are patient but exact. Effort invested consistently is never lost, even when no immediate return appears. Like seed beneath soil, unseen labor is active long before it is visible. Those who understand this principle do not grow bitter during periods of quiet. They grow faithful. They continue to tend their work, trusting that results assemble gradually beyond perception. When outcomes finally surface, observers often label them sudden or fortunate, unaware of the long discipline that preceded them. Discipline, in truth, is not self-denial for its own sake, but proof of sincerity. It demonstrates that intention is not conditional on mood or applause. Doubt thrives where action is absent. Movement disrupts uncertainty. Once the body engages, the mind follows. Self-discipline becomes an expression of self-respect in motion, a declaration that one is not governed by impulse, but by intention. Those who lack discipline live at the mercy of fluctuating emotions, mistaking inspiration for a prerequisite rather than a result. They wait to feel ready, unaware that readiness is created through beginning. Action generates momentum, and momentum generates clarity. The mind, like any instrument, must be trained through structure. Order in daily life strengthens inner stability. Time-honored is integrity practiced. Each promise kept to oneself reinforces confidence. Each broken one weakens it. Peace follows order naturally. Observing effective leaders reveals a common pattern. They treat their time with reverence. Purpose claims the morning, reflection frames the evening, and thought is scheduled with the same seriousness as obligation. Their discipline is visible not in grand gestures, but in quiet consistency. Such order attracts opportunity because it signals readiness. Persistence often feels lonely in its early stages, while distractions seem plentiful. Yet sacrifice accumulates authority. The work done when no one is watching builds credibility that cannot be fabricated later. Will and faith function together as the twin forces of progress. Will sustains effort. Faith sustains meaning. Without faith, effort becomes mechanical and joyless. Without will, belief dissolves into fantasy. Great achievements emerge where conviction guides direction and discipline carries it forward. Vision alone is insufficient, and effort without belief becomes drudgery. History's most enduring figures were not distinguished by luck, but by obedience to principle. They trusted unseen laws while applying relentless effort. The world ultimately rewards consistency more than brilliance, endurance more than impulse. Talent without persistence fades quickly. Persistence, even when paired with modest talent, reshapes landscapes. Each small victory strengthens the next, building momentum through habit. Mastery begins with conquering the smallest disciplines, repeated faithfully. In this way, faith matures into certainty, will sharpens into character, and an ordinary life gradually assumes uncommon power. Great strength is never born from grand gestures alone, but from quiet loyalty to simple disciplines repeated without exception. Rising at the same hour, completing duties before seeking comfort, and finishing what has been started appear ordinary on the surface, yet these habits form the hidden architecture of power. Small acts performed with consistency declare independence from drift and establish dominion over impulse. No beginning is insignificant when it is governed by purpose. What starts as a single act of order gradually becomes a symbol of authority over one's own life. The will functions as the bridge that carries ideas from the mind into tangible reality. Without it, even the most inspired thoughts remain unrealized. Each command followed strengthens this bridge until intention and action move as one. At that stage, effort seems lighter, not because the work has diminished, but because resistance has been removed. Willpower cannot be borrowed or inherited, it must be forged alone. Guidance may be offered, encouragement may be given, but obedience must arise from within. Along this path, the world will test resolve through delay, doubt, and ridicule, revealing whether conviction is genuine or decorative. Endurance is often misunderstood as passive tolerance, yet true endurance is active mastery. It is the decision to move forward despite uncertainty, to remain faithful while outcomes are delayed. Those who persist through adversity without surrender become rare, not because they avoid hardship, but because they refuse to be defined by it. Each trial endured strengthens inner sovereignty, proving that external conditions hold no ultimate authority over the internal world. Power grows through continuity of effort. Every day lived in alignment with purpose adds weight to intention, and over time, time itself becomes an ally. What once felt exhausting gradually becomes familiar, then natural, and finally inevitable. Fatigue may speak, but purpose speaks louder when it is remembered and reaffirmed. Repetition of intention rekindles resolve. The body may tire, but meaning endures. When discipline sustains decision, the initial spark becomes a flame resistant to every opposing wind. From this process emerges an individual whom neither delay nor defeat can overcome, for endurance has reshaped identity. Transformation follows a predictable rhythm. At first, change demands conscious effort, as the mind resists new patterns and the body resists new habits. Persistence gradually establishes rhythm, and rhythm evolves into grace. What was once forced becomes fluid. Growth moves from struggle to flow, from imitation to embodiment. Eventually, belief no longer requires reinforcement. It becomes state of being. The invisible work performed in silence begins to express itself visibly, taking form in action, posture, and presence. Outer results shift only after the inner structure has been rebuilt. Attempts to change circumstances without altering identity result in temporary improvement, followed by return to old patterns. Lasting change is always internal first. Thought establishes the design, the world supplies the materials. The unseen always precedes the seen. When identity is altered at its core, behavior aligns naturally, and external conditions reorganize in response. Identity governs the limits of possibility. A person cannot consistently live beyond the image he holds of himself. When limitation is accepted internally, opportunity passes unnoticed even when it stands near. Yet when a higher identity is assumed and held with conviction, behavior changes instinctively. Speech becomes deliberate, decisions become firm, and actions reflect authority. The world responds to this internal shift with surprising accuracy. History offers countless examples of individuals who achieved what seemed impossible by first refusing to accept imposed boundaries. They acted from certainty long before evidence appeared, and their actions gradually shaped reality to match belief. Confidence communicates without words. Others sense it in tone, timing, and presence. Assurance commands respect without request. Doubt, conversely, invites hesitation from others, as well as from oneself. The image you carry within silently instructs the world how to treat you. True mastery is not achieved by striving endlessly toward a distant goal, but by acting from the identity of one who already belongs to that outcome. Fulfillment becomes the starting point rather than the reward. When belief is practiced long enough, it solidifies into character, and character dictates destiny. The person who knows who he is no longer seeks permission to act. He moves with quiet certainty, and circumstances adjust accordingly. This fusion of will and faith bends conditions to character, rather than forcing character to bow to conditions. Greatness is forged in this union, where discipline sustains vision, and vision gives meaning to discipline. From this union emerges a life marked by coherence, influence, and calm authority. Such a person does not announce power. It is recognized. And in that recognition, the transformation once labored for becomes the natural expression of who he has decided to be. If this video made you reflect or see your path more clearly, share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters here. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and if this video added value to you, don't forget to leave a like. It really helps the channel grow.